and he had very prominent uh, brow ridge, you know, and a conical head, and he had hair going down the sides of his face from his head and down onto his shoulders, and that hair like got to his, I don't know, probably upper chest, and then his arms were hairy and his legs were hairy, and when he turned and faced at me and grinned at me, he had these like big blocky like teeth, but they were just like the size of a horse. So, you know, they big blocky like horse teeth. And I didn't see any fangs. I didn't see any, you know, claws on his hands. It was just fingernails. So he looked very human like. And I don't know what you're doing in the background, David, but I can hear it all. So obviously it's going to go on the recording.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm listening.
Sounds like you're eating something, slopping or something.
I'm not eating
Know all this
anything.
stuff's going to go on the recording, right? You
This
understand that. All the stuff
y-
you're doing in the background is going to go on the recording.
yeah,
So,
yeah. This is we turned
so
into Bigfoot comedy radio. Keep going,
I,
brother.
I love my little bro. He's good.
I love you too,
Learned
man.
a lot.
We got all this technology going on.
He went on up the other side of that hill, and it was it. I stopped my truck and I got out, and there was only like a couple inches on the road because they've been plowing, but on the sides of the sides were like, shoot, probably 2 feet deep. And I tried to get my longest stride into his stride, and I couldn't do it. And I'm 6'5", 300 pounds, and he
Wow.
made me feel small. I mean,
Yes.
huge. I would say he was probably 11 foot, maybe. I don't know, somewhere in that range. Um, and probably, oh, 1,200, 1,400 pounds. I would think he's way over 1,000.
Wow.
And you know, they, as in my research, I watch a lot of people see these 7 to 9 footers. You know, a lot of the ones you see on film are female. Uh, and it's like they're so small compared to what I saw. I mean, this guy was humongous. I mean, I would probably come up. My head would probably have come up to his waist at 6'5".
Man.
So he was huge. And like I said, after I saw this, it was like, no, there's no denying it anymore. I have seen a Bigfoot in our real. This thing was totally real. And people ask me, well, what, are you on drugs? I'm like, I'm driving a damn big rig. I ain't on no drugs. I'm on a lot of caffeine trying to stay awake, you know? And that's what I saw. And from then on, I started, you know, researching on YouTube and watching videos and I remember when I was a kid, they used to show the Patterson film like in movie theaters, and you go in there and you know they have those little commercials and shit in the beginning of the movies. They don't do that stuff anymore, but they used to have like little short clips and stuff. So they used to show the Patterson film pretty regularly. And I remember seeing it as a kid, and I was like, "Oh my god, that's just crazy." But when you see one and you realize that they're real, it changes your whole outlook on life because it just was a realization that these things exist, which is something that we only think that we're the only ones here being humans, and the attitude of the world is like, in this huge universe, and we're one little speck of sand on a beach compared to the universe. There's got to be other life other life forms out there. I mean, we're not
Right.
the only out here. I don't know what you're doing in the background, bro. It almost sounds like you're smoking something.
You're nutty, man. No,
Yeah,
no, no. I'm here.
it's real loud. I mean, you're gonna go, oh God, I look at all that stuff they were hearing. I was doing all this weird stuff in the background. I don't know what the
That's look. That's good. We and that'll make sure we give sound effects for the podcast. Add some excitement to it. Add some life. So everybody listen to all this
yeah.
craziness
Everybody's
going
gonna be
on.
wondering what the heck you're doing.
Yeah. But it's okay. Keep going because this is getting very interesting. I'm just like I said, I'm working out the uh the tech situations. Also, I got some people calling in that are interested in the Bigfoot thing. So that's what you hear. You hear a lot of me dealing with that. But keep going because I'm
That's fine.
listening. It sounded really good.
Calling in, they can ask questions at the end, I guess.
Yeah.
But this was just the beginning. That was the beginning. That
Mhm.
was. It's gone so much farther since then, and I don't quite understand. At that point, I didn't understand why they picked me out to show me this, because obviously they decide who they show themselves to, because not everybody sees them.
Right. Correct.
To have them walk across in front of a vehicle has got to be a way of sharing their existence with people.
Yes.
So, you know, so where I went from there was I started researching the Native American beliefs, because I figured that the Native Americans must have seen these. And to me, it made sense that they would have an understanding of these beings. Because us as white people, we just, excuse the term, us as humans, we just think we're the only ones, that we're the only people here on this planet. And if these things are as intelligent as I believe they are, because they have a lot larger brain than we do, and usually brain capacity just helps with intelligence. And if they've been around for as long as I believe they have been around, because I've read all the native legends on it, and I'll tell you, as much as I don't like the Finding Bigfoot guys, their website has the most extensive Native American legends of Bigfoot than any other site on the web. So
Sounds good.
you
Sounds
can
good.
go to the bfro.net, and you can look up. It's called Pre-Columbian Legends, and they have some major legends about the Bigfoot people, the Sasquatch. Now, Sasquatch is a Salish term, which is comes from out here where I'm at. Out in Washington State, which Washington State's the highest sighting rate of any state in the country.
Yes.
The first time I saw one was in Utah. But you know, the Salish term means Sasquatch means Harry the Man of the Woods, big, strong, that kind of stuff. They have other terms like Skookum means strong. Uh, and the people out here know all about them, and it's not a real big deal to them. It's something they've lived with in their verbal legends forever. They know out here that if you go up hunting in the woods and you're getting rocks and sticks thrown at you, you're invading the area of the Sasquatch. The Yakima call them Stiha Maha, and it means stick thrower Indians. And they knew that if they had the sticks and the rocks thrown at them, these people didn't want them in their area, so they wouldn't hunt in their area. They would leave them alone, because they respected them as another tribe of people. So, the Native Americans looked at them as a lot different than we look at them, you know, and you know, I uh, I got very involved in the Native American spirituality, and I met some very wonderful, amazing people that taught me a lot of amazing knowledge, not just about these beings, but about the spirituality that they live. The traditional people, not the
Hmm.
ones that have been converted. Because, you know, if you research it, the Native Americans got really screwed up by the white people. and it really was the first genocide, and it's so much worse than the Germans and the Jews ever were.
Hmm.
And most of them got forced to be converted, but there are some people like the Lakotas that refused to give up their spirituality. They didn't care if the government came and put them in jail. They didn't care.
They gave up a fight. They gave a good fight.
and
Yeah.
and they were the last ones to give up. Crazy Horse was the last ones to give up, and Crazy Horse was up in Canada. He went up through Montana through the Blackfoot and Blackfeet reservations and was up in Blackfeet reservation, and they basically got message to him that if he didn't come and give up, they were going to kill Sitting Bull. So, you know, Crazy, Crazy Horse came back and gave up.
Hmm.
And what's even worse is that later on in life, Sitting Bull got killed by one of his own people. But,
Isn't that something?
well, it's because of the white mind, you know. My traditional native medicine man calls most natives apple Indians. He says they're red on the outside and white on the inside. They just don't follow the traditional beliefs anymore. They've been converted. So, and they look at the traditionalists as being you know, as being evil. They're doing evil. They're doing devil's work.
Okay.
But see, the traditionalists are the ones that still remember the old legends and the old ways. So that's what I had to get to, of trying to find out more about these people, these hairy people that are out there.
Okay.
And obviously, there's a lots of different legends from different tribes all over the North America. Because I mean, Canada,
Right.
Mexico, South America, they all have their own versions of these hairy people. And pretty
Right.
much they're in almost every country in the world.
Okay.
They have legends of these giant people. So, it went from me seeing a big hairy man in Utah to realizing that this is a worldwide thing. So these beings are not just a single being. I mean, people ask me all the time, so how many Bigfoot do you think are out there? And I'm like, enough to keep their numbers up. They're still birthing and having children. So yes, there's tribes of them out there. They're not just a singular being. You may only see one, but I'll tell you, if you're going out there to try to hunt them, I would be scared that you would never make it back out alive if you ever shot one, because they're out there with a clan.
Okay.
And if you shoot one, you're most likely going to get taken out by the rest of them.
Right.
People have disappeared, hunters have disappeared. So, you know, I know there are some hunters that'll look at them and they look too human to shoot on. But I mean, if these guys want to try to make money and kill a Bigfoot and become famous, you might become famous, but you might end up in jail. Because,
Right. Right.
state, we have laws against disturbing Sasquatch. Scammia County has a $25,000 fine for disturbing a Sasquatch.
What?
And it's been in law since the 80s.
What?
And we actually have another county that also has a law against disturbing Sasquatch. because they didn't want people running around the national parks with rifles trying to shoot these things.
Okay. Right. That's
Over
true. That's
the
true.
years, they've had incidents. There was two young guys. They were, in their, 20s, I guess, and they shot some lady with a furry coat she was wearing.
Oh
And
no.
she was picking salmon berries up here in
Oh no.
Washington. And they shot and killed her.
Oh
And
no.
they both went to jail
Oh
because
no.
they said, "Oh, we thought we were shooting a Bigfoot."
Mm.
Uh, so you know, I have talked. I work for the state of Washington. All right, I have talked with the the rangers up on Mount Rainier, and they have told me that they have been told that if anybody finds footprints or structures, that they're supposed to go up in the park and destroy them because they don't want people running around the park with guns.
Okay.
So it is that admitting to the fact that they know of them, probably,
Okay.
but never get one to say it because they can lose their job over it. It's just
Right.
like, pilots saying they saw a UFO and they take their pilot's license. So, you know, these beings still have a stigma around them with our government. And I think our government really knows what they are.
Okay.
And I truly believe that even though they live here and have lived here probably as long as us or longer, that they are basically extraterrestrial.
Okay.
And a lot of people don't want to hear that, but I'm sorry, you're going to have to connect it because there's been many a sightings. There was a sighting on the BFRO website, okay, of a guy out here in Snohomish County in Washington State, and he saw a UFO stop over the forest in his backyard, and he watched a beam of light come to the ground, and this Sasquatch looking being walk out of the beam of light, look at him, and walk away.
Very
So,
cool.
so they are connected with the UFOs in many different ways. Whether they're directly, whether they're directly extraterrestrial, we could be considered extraterrestrial because we don't fit this world.
Okay.
We have to wear clothes. Now, if we had been evolved from apes, and this would make sense to me of all the research I've done, if we had evolved from apes, why didn't we keep our hair?
Okay.
Because gorillas, chimpanzees, all the apes have hair. They never lost their hair. Why did we lose our hair? Makes no sense
Interesting. Okay.
because we have a weather here on this planet that makes it so we have to wear clothes. So,
True. True.
and the other thing is, you don't see gorillas wearing sunglasses, do you?
No.
Eyes adjusted to our sun, but our eyes are not adjusted to the sun. We have to wear sunglasses. Why is that? If we evolved here, we should have had hair still all over our bodies, and our eyes would be adjusted to our sun.
Okay.
So if you think about that, it makes us more likely extraterrestrial and brought here than anything else.
Okay.
So, in my research, and believe me, I've done massive research online and legends and natives and talked with people, and they, in some of the legends, they say that these beings are psychic. Now, this is one of the things that people don't want to accept
Okay.
because they hardly even believe. What the heck? I don't know. Some message came across my screen about calling back. Am I still here?
Yes. Yeah, hey, see, I told you. You thought it was just me, big brother. You see, everybody's trying to catch you.
You know, maybe they're calling in. I don't know what it is. Maybe that's what I saw. But so there's many native legends saying they're psychic, and there's many tribes that say that they don't even look in their eyes. They're afraid to look directly at them because they can kill you. So if if they're psychic enough to create you to do something to kill yourself, there's a possibility of this. All right. Now I have heard of hunters that have looked them in the eye and had their scopes on them, and all of a sudden, when they were done and the Sasquatch was gone, all their ammo was on the ground, like they were just popping their ammo out of their gun and not pulling the trigger.
Say what?
So and so there's this was actually a native, and he had a Winchester, and he literally just cocked the gun and popped the ammo out, and never pulled the trigger.
Wow.
Now, there's also another one, and I believe it's on the BFRO website, of this federal marshal that owns a big, huge ranch. He went and bought a big ranch out in Montana. I believe Montana or Colorado. I'm not positive, but out in the mountains, he's got this big ranch, acres or whatever, and he's riding on a horse with his buddy, and they're hunting on his own land for elk.
Okay.
And they're riding on this trail in the mountains, and they come around this corner, and here's this Sasquatch being standing in the trail. He has his 30-06 loaded. He brings it up to his eye, pulls the trigger. And he says as soon as he pulled this trigger, this thing vanished in a flash of light.
Wow.
Now, it took him like 10 to 15 years to share this website on. I believe it's on the BFRO. Because even the BFR doesn't believe that. Even though the BFRO has tons of native legends that say that they can be spiritual beings or physical beings, that they can go in between, that they can go in between the dimensions, they can go to where we dream, they can
Okay.
go to, you know, in and out of the time portals or whatever. And there's lots of legends about all this, but nobody wants to believe it. Okay.
Okay.
All this kind of stuff that happened. Now, if you are into the Bible, okay, angels did a lot of this kind of stuff, popped in and out, showed themselves when
So
they
true.
wanted, had all these different powers. And then people believe in God. Now, nobody's seen God, but they believe in God even though it's invisible. So,
Okay.
I remember this Saturday Night Live skit with Guido, whatever. He was supposed to be like the monk, and or priest or something, and he goes, "So if God created us after His own image, how come we're not all invisible?
Hmm.
Because nobody's seen God, but people believe
Oh,
in God.
right. Because we go by faith.
So seen Sasquatch, and there are still people that will not believe in him.
Right. Right.
There
Right.
are
Right.
videos out there that are Sasquatch, and people still won't believe in it. They'll say
Right.
it's a guy in a monkey. There's so much stuff that they do different. Like, people say, "Oh, I'm a professional Bigfoot researcher." Well, the only professional one that I know of is probably Jeff Meldrum.
Okay.
He has a anthropology degree, and he has an extensive collection of foot casts. Now, originally it was Grover Krantz, and Grover Krantz was out of South Seattle University. And when Grover died, they gave half of his collection to Meldrum, and then
Okay.
the rest. So Meldrum got a lot of his, because Meldrum was very young at that point when Krantz died. but Meldrum was trying. He was looking. He was starting to believe. And I've
Okay.
seen him in conferences and I've talked to him. He's a very intelligent, knowledgeable man, but he still believes that they're apes because I don't think he's ever seen one. He's
Okay.
seen the footprints, but I don't believe he's ever seen one other than on videos. Now, the guys that have analyzed the videos, they show the Sasquatch. When they walk, they bring their feet up at a 45-degree angle. We don't do that. We only
Okay.
do about a 27-degree angle when we walk. So somebody in a Bigfoot suit would have to figure out how to walk that way and still be able to do it without stumbling and falling all over the place. And I don't see how they ever run in it.
Stumble.
They've done investigations on how these beings walk, and their knees rotate. Their feet have a bend in the middle. That's that mid partial break. We bend at the toe. Their feet bend in the middle, which means they can just climb like really extreme. Now, most of the Sasquatch that I've seen have the 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 big toe is straight out like a human. It's not imposed. Now, if you see like Yowie pictures, a lot of the Yowies have opposed thumbs. So are they not as evolved? I don't know. Uh, I have a lot of friends in Australia that say that they're psychic and they talk to them. So, you know, are they still psychic but not quite as advanced? I don't know. There's so many different aspects. Like my friends down in the Florida and the swamps or East Texas or Louisiana and the Pine Barrens and stuff, they said these beings don't look as human like as the ones we have out here in Washington. So they're
Okay.
more ape like. They tend to have long eye teeth like fangs,
Mhm.
and their claw and their fingernails look more like claws, and they're very hairy, and their faces don't look as human. They look more ape like. So are they different? Are they
Yeah.
a
I mean.
totally different race, or
Mhm.
are they uh my belief, now this isn't just mine, nobody else's probably, is that swamp apes are a little more inbred, that they
Okay.
don't have as much interaction with other tribes and they can't breed outside their own tribe. And anybody knows that if you breed inbred too long, I mean, we have a lot of legends about the West Virginia hillbillies. We all know about the first cousin
So
got.
mean.
So,
So mean.
what happens with the mind when they inbred is they get a little more aggressive.
Okay.
Because the ones up here, people say, oh no, they're not aggressive at all. They always walk off. But when you get down in the swamps, they talk about these things are a lot more aggressive.
Right. Well, Big Brother, it's funny because like here they say in Maryland State that they're calm. They're very calm and they're more docile, like they're used to human beings here in Maryland State. But continue. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Like they are out here in Washington State. I mean, it's the
Hmm.
same way. They're very relaxed around humans. They don't seem to have an issue with humans. They just and it's almost like they just show themselves to certain people and then they get attached to these people. It's weird,
Right.
So here I've shared some of my research. Now I'll go to this. I'll go back a little bit. Uh, this medicine man that I had taught me how to do sweat lodge, and he said that these ways have to be taught to everyone because if we don't teach them, these ways are going to be lost, and their
Right.
spirit. They're talking about their spiritual ways because most of the native children don't want to learn the traditional ways. Most want to go off to college and get the hell off the reservation,
Right.
or they just want to take themselves out and die. And the
Mm.
reservation, the addiction rate on the reservations is like 98%.
Mhm.
for kids. And the
Right.
suicide rate's almost as high as 95%.
Yeah, it's very
So
hard on the res,
it's
you know.
pretty bad for the children. So a lot of the traditionalists are trying to teach them their ways to try to get them off the drugs and stuff. But it's like what my medicine men felt like is that you need to teach this to everyone. So they taught it to me. You know, I have mostly white. I have a little bit of native in me, but you never notice it.
Mhm.
So, you know, and it doesn't show. I'm just a big guy. Um, but you know, he was what's called a Heyoka, and he came up to me and looked me in the eye when I first met him, and he told me about what I have seen, some of my visions, what I've grown up with, uh, and the things that I've done as a child. You know, because you know, even my parents had a real hard time with me because I used to want to hang out in the woods with the animals.
Mhm.
I didn't like people. Are you ringing in the background? You got another phone going there, bro, or is that someone calling in?
Oh no, that's yeah. We got call-ins, but you keep going because I'm holding them off. I'm holding them off because I really like this. We're really getting into it. It's good, and I really want to get this information out of you. So you continue, and I'll hold the fort.
Well, I was at the point where he's teaching me how to run sweat. So
Okay.
I went and
Oh, the
and
sweat
I was
lodge.
going,
Sweat lodge.
you know, I was going to different sweat lodges. The Lakota call it a Neepy ceremony, um, but it's sweat lodge. That's the common term that pretty much everybody knows it as. Um, and and I was going to all these ones that other people run, and I'm calling him back, and I'm going, these people are running it weird because they're controlling the lodge. It's like and my medicine man said, "Do me a favor, screw all them people, go build your own lodge and run it like you know you're supposed to, because
Okay,
it's
that's
not
good. That's
our
good.
lodge,
Yeah.
it's God's lodge.
Right.
We're not we're not caretakers of the land and lodge. We're caregivers of the land and lodge because
That's right.
you don't. It's not my land. It's not my lodge. The community people, I brought all these people in that were going to sweat. We all built the lodge. And I shared the ways of building the lodge in a Lakota fashion, where when you get it done, there's the 8-pointed Lakota star from their flag and the
Okay.
8 clans of the Lakota. And I set it up as a Hioka Lodge with a west door. Now, see, this is something that got screwed around in the early days because Black Elk was Hioka. And
Okay.
being Hioka, they love to tease. So in his book, he wrote that Lakota had west door lodges. Well,
Okay.
I also read John Fire Lame Deer, who was a Hioka, who said that Black Elk was teasing all you guys because Lakota have an east door lodge.
Okay.
It's the door faces the rising sun, is how the Lakota did it. Hiokas would do the west door lodge facing the west. Okay.
Okay.
And so a lot of these lodges you go to all have west doors, and these people don't realize they're running a Hioka lodge, and they don't understand the fact of why are people visiting lodges, because you're running a Hioka lodge, dude. You're gonna have a lot of visiting. You're gonna have a lot of interesting stuff happening in these lodges. You want a beginning lodge, you should do an East Door Lodge. I'm
Okay.
telling you. Want to just have a regular lodge, do an East Door Lodge. Don't want to do a West Door Lodge. So I had a West Door Lodge on purpose because he told me that I was Hioka. He looked me in the eye. He told me about all the visions I had. He told me about all kinds of things in my life that no psychic ever. And I have psychic friends that are very good at what they do. This guy he just looked me in the eye. He told me things that I never told anyone. So I was pretty impressed on this person, and he's still my medicine man, though he's of age and he's about to pass over, which is okay because we don't look at death the same way as most people.
Right.
Death is just a journey. It's just the next step in the journey, and it's the ultimate journey. So, death, I think death a whole lot different than everybody else.
Right.
Me, I'm
So true.
got a sore throat, so I'm like using some Chloraseptic in my mouth.
Oh, oh yes, you got to stay healthy because we need you out there searching for Bigfoot.
Yeah,
But
I'm
keep going.
sucking on saying this COVID ain't gonna get me. It's just a
That's
fucking
right.
flu.
Keep
And
we have to keep big
so,
uh keep big bro keep Gray Wolf
very
alive foundation. But
well.
continue.
Let
I'm
me
joking.
share this.
I'm
The
listening. Go
Lakota followed the bears when they looked sick, and the bears would go up to about 5,000 feet. And they start digging up these plants, and they would eat the roots.
right, right.
This is why they called it bear root.
Hmm. Yeah, Beirut. Yeah, yeah.
If
We discussed that a while back.
you
Yeah.
want to order it up, you can even get it on Amazon. It's called OSHA root. OSHA root.
Okay.
It looks like a wild celery. It only grows above 5,000 feet, as far as I know, and most of it comes from like Mount Shasta out of California. There's some companies that get it out of there, but you can actually order it on Amazon if it's not out of stock.
Okay. Oh, sure. Yeah, because I deal with a lot of I work with
But
a lot of herbs and a lot of people. So yeah.
kills viruses.
Okay.
So I've been chewing this stuff ever since the COVID hit, and I have
Okay.
not gotten sick as far as I know.
Very good. Okay. Very good.
So, and I've had people get sick that I know of, and I just haven't gotten sick.
Hey, amen. Thank you, Lord.
And I have gotten the Seattle crud, which is what I've been dealing with. That's the weather. When we get this rainy ass, crappy ass weather, when we actually, Washington State, where I'm at,
Mhm.
Seattle, is actually a rainforest. They tore down most of the trees, but we're in a rainforest area. Okay.
Okay.
The Olympic Peninsula is all rainforest. But
All right.
we get more rain in Washington State than England gets in a year. We get more than they do in a year.
Wow.
And people think England rains all the time.
Wow. That is crazy. So let me ask you, uh, in with like, do you with the rain in the mud? Do you feel that? Do you see a lot of like prints, Sasquatch prints? In the wet
We have,
earth.
we have very mossy.
Okay.
Uh, we got lots of natural blackberries because the natural blackberries run across the ground.
Okay.
Uh, it, those big monster blackberries that grow like 10 feet tall. That's actually an invasive species.
Okay.
That is English blackberries, and
Okay.
they brought them. Our ancestors brought them here
Uh oh.
because the natural blackberries in North America run along the ground. They don't grow 6 feet tall and are huge stalks. That's English blackberries.
Okay.
But our ground is we got lots of pine trees. So you got pine needles, you got mossy ground. It's very soft ground, but it does not show up prints really well unless it's along a river or you get a muddy area and like a road, like we have a lot of Forest Service roads,
Okay.
and a lot of them are closed off. You can't drive on them, but if you walk up them, you'll see Bigfoot footprints because they'll use the roads because it's easy transportation. You don't have to worry about
Right.
trees.
Yeah.
Now, the natives say that they never worried about trees because a Sasquatch could go through the trees. A big Sasquatch could go through the trees like a moose. And
Okay.
see, Okay, now you have an intelligent being, okay, that can go through the trees. Now let me ask, how does a big white-tailed deer with a huge rack, how does that go through trees without getting its rack stuck? How does a moose that's the size of a Clydesdale with a rack the size of a Volkswagen get through pine trees? I mean, I get smacked in the face with pine trees. I
I
walk
know we both did. Yeah, yeah,
through these woods. We have
yeah.
a woods, our forests are so thick that you can walk 30 feet into the forest off a road and you will not see the road.
That's what I've heard. Yeah, yeah.
And if you get turned around, there are people that have gotten lost from just walking in to take a pee.
Right. That's what I've heard.
And this is the way it is. And you think, oh, we would see them everywhere. I don't think so. I mean, I
No.
can look for 20 yards and the trees get so thick that it's all you see is tree.
Right.
Little bit of light here, little bit of light there. Middle of the day, sunny day, and it's dark trees.
Okay.
So our forests are a whole lot different than other areas. Most areas
Right.
east coast have hardwoods. We have lots of pines, lots of evergreens,
I love
and
pine.
we're
Love.
rainforest, and we just it just doesn't. It's not good for prints. Like I
Okay.
say, muddy roads, river banks. That's about if we get a chance of seeing a print. Because I found one in the moss, but I couldn't make a cast because I would have had to. It was sitting on a rock, so it was rounded. So this footprint was huge. I mean, it was 2.5 feet or 2 feet long and about a foot wide. It was huge.
Okay.
So this Sasquatch had to be at least 1,200, 1,600 pounds huge. And he ran up the side of this. You could see where the hill was. The hill was a 45-degree angle, and he ran up there and he was ripping trees down because I have pictures where I'm standing next to the trees and the trees are snapped off at 6'5" where I'm at. They're snapped off at 6, 7 foot. And
Wow.
there's a whole bunch of them. Like he was snapping trees off, running like a freight train up through here, and you can actually look up from the direction of his footprints, and there was a gap in the trees, like he had just made a tunnel through the trees.
Wow.
Now,
That
to be
is
able to see
fantastic.
something like that is pretty amazing. I've only seen a few. I have more pictures than most people, and they're not like the people that see them cloaked everywhere and they're circling. They take a picture and they circle to 3, 4, 5, 30 circles in a picture for all these faces they're seeing. So, they talk about pareidoia, which is where minds will take a tree and we can actually see a face in it. This may or may not be the reason. Sometimes I believe that they have access to these trees, that they might be in a tree.
When you
My
say
story
now,
brings a lot of this around because I believe that,
now,
that
big brother, when you say so that the listeners understand, when you say in the tree, do you mean, for example, hiding or somehow
into the tree, phased, like you phase in and you phase out.
like melding together, like combining?
Now, this gets into farther into my belief system because I haven't gotten there yet. I best to bring everybody up. The reason why I brought up Sweat Lodge is they came into my visions. They entered my mind in my visions. Now I've heard of people with them saying that they entered their minds during dreams. Because it's easier to enter our minds if it's a dream. Because most people, it's really traumatic for them to have something just enter your mind. Because we are taught that if we have voices in our head, we're crazy.
Okay.
Now they entered my visions in Sweat Lodge, and they took me some pretty amazing places. People don't like how I share it because I say that they almost abducted my soul because I believe the body just most of the times people saw me, my body was flat on the ground. They thought I was visioning, so they just made sure I was breathing and it's okay.
Okay.
And I mean, there's ways of means of telling. You can watch the chest and see if they're breathing, and you just let
Right.
them be. Most people are visioning. You don't want to wake them up in the middle of vision. It's very traumatic.
Right.
So, I've had some pretty extensive visions, but I've also had interaction on night sweats. Now, I haven't gotten into telling you this yet, and I wanted to tell you about it.
Okay.
Now, with the Lakota Lodge, you have a fire tender, and the fire tender stays out around the fire and keeps putting logs on the grandfathers, the stones, to keep them hot, to keep them red hot, so that they're feeding the fire the whole lodge. And lodges can go. I've seen rounds go an hour apiece, and I've gone 4 hours in a sweat lodge. So, and with depending on how many people and how many prayers and how long the prayers are, how long the songs are, we open up in between rounds, and we allow people to go out if they want to. Some lodges don't. Some keep they just or bring stones in and they bring water in and they don't let you go out. It just depends.
Okay.
I offer people if they want to, if it was too hot, they want to take a break, go out and go out, and then you come back in, or you can stay out. It's up to you. Okay, so when we're doing night lodges, we have the. What are you doing, dude? It sounds like you just fell over and crashed.
I'm still here. I'm still here.
Okay,
I'm just
so
listening to
yeah, you're listening, make a lot of noise while you're listening, dude. So, so night lodges they would come in, and I had a real hard time keeping fire tenders for those night lodges because they get freaked out. They, I've heard the fire tenders say that they would see shadows in the woods, and they would hear footsteps walking around the lodge area.
you. Wow.
Okay, one night all of a sudden the lodge started shaking, and I said to the fire tender, I said, "Hey, stop shaking the lodge." And he goes, "It wasn't me. I'm sitting here by the fire." This
Okay.
big hairy hand reached out of the dark and grabbed the lodge and shook it.
What?
And I said, "Okay." So I said some prayers because they have gifted me prayers in my visions in their language. So I have made some songs out of their prayers. So I say the prayers to these beings because they were coming out to the lodge, obviously to honor us. I mean, why else would they be out there? Now, my lodge was out in Snohomish County. They've had a lot of sightings over the years in Snohomish County. It's right up against the mountains. That's where the BFRO has a howl sound that happened in the late '70s, early '80s in Snohomish County. A big long, like a Bobo howl. We all know Bobo's howl on
Bobo. Yeah, Bobo. Yeah.
Finding Bigfoot. Yeah, that kind of long ass howls. Well, they used to come out and we'd hear howls and we'd hear whoops and we'd hear all kinds of stuff around the lodge at night. Now, this is what I want to get into. This is the one you have to listen to. We were doing a night lodge, second round, and I have to pee bad. I mean, we drink a lot of fluids before we go into the lodge, and usually I can make it through, but man, I had to go. So I've been pouring the lodges. I'm pouring these lodges. So I opened up the door. I said, I've got to go out and water a tree. I'll be back. So I go out of the lodge. You're in the big, bright bonfire and you can't see anything. So I'm coming out of a dark lodge into this big, bright light. My eyes are flashing and I stagger off into the woods. And I find this big tree and I just start doing what I do. and I feel this tap, tap, tap on my head. It was definitely a tap, tap, tap. Not a limb hit me in the head or nothing. It was a tap, tap, tap on my head. And I
Okay.
look up, and my eyes are adjusting, and I hear this voice say in broken English, "You pee on foot."
What?
Yes.
Okay.
So
So that meant for you not. That meant, look, you're gonna stand still and you're gonna urinate on your foot because you're not going anywhere. That's what he was saying, correct?
I peed on his foot. It
Oh
was
shit.
not a tree. It was a Sasquatch.
Oh. Okay. Okay. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Thought it was a tree. My eyes were phasing out, and I couldn't see anything, and I just saw this dark image look like a tree, and I just started peeing. Okay, now I apologized really quickly because I realized that this thing it was at least 11 or 12 foot. That I'm probably looking right at his junk,
Okay.
and if he decided to pee on me, I was gonna get a golden shower.
Uh oh.
So I
Uh oh.
apologized real quickly. And what he said in broken English again, he said, "Humans pee on us a lot."
Oh my goodness.
And all I can think of is that at night, if they're standing there watching humans and people go out to pee, they don't move and people tend to pee on them.
Okay.
Now,
That's crazy.
he said, now I'm not done. He goes, "My name is Simi, and I'm the clan leader of the local clan. And
So you
we
were
come,
actually talking to the Sasquatch clan leader.
stop, we come out to honor you because you honor all beings. Because in Sweat Lodge, we honor all beings, the winged ones, the swimming ones, the creepy crawlies, the two-leggeds, the four-leggeds. We honor all."
Okay.
And he says this to me, and I'm like, "But I gotta go finish the lodge. So thank you for coming out and honoring us." So I walk back out into the firelight. I can't see. I crawl into the lodge. I can't see it. And we close the door, or we bring more stones in, and we close the door, and we do some more praying, and I say the prayers again to them. Now, people always go, "Well, why did you take a picture of them?" I'm like, "Dude, this is Sweat Lodge. We don't
Mm.
bring electronics to Sweat Lodge."
Right. Right.
Now, I have had people that had mothers that had children, and they had to have a phone at the lodge. And I told them, "Leave it in your jacket. You do not want to bring it in Sweat Lodge. It will destroy it.
Yep.
And leave it on vibrate because I don't want to ring." So I allowed that, but most places will not allow you to even bring your phone anywhere near the lodge. Most Sweat Lodge.
Okay.
So this was a major part, and I ran that lodge for 4 years. And after the 4 years were done, uh, now this is more of a spiritual thing, and I don't know what you're doing in the background. It sounds like you're making all kinds of Sasquatch sounds in the background. Are you doing that on purpose?
No, no. Actually, we're running out of time. But what we're gonna have to do, big brothers, we're gonna have to go ahead. We're gonna have to do another episode.
Bring me
Um,
back because I
because
got
you
a
have a
lot more.
lot of information. I know you have so much information. So what we're gonna do?
Pick up what I
We'll,
say just real quick.
go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay. So with the Sweat Lodge, I did it for 4 years. And at the end of 4 years, to the day, I was trying to pour lodge, and everybody in the lodge saw this hand come down and push me to the ground, and I couldn't pour. And I had to have
Wow.
one of the people that I was teaching pour the lodge. So they did 4 years and that was it. They wouldn't spirits wouldn't let me pour again. And I tried to do one other lodge after that with another one of my medicine men, and same thing happened. He saw the hand push me down, so he poured the rest of the lodge. So they didn't want me to pour after 4 years, or whether I had to build another lodge somewhere else. But I guess after 4 years I was done. So if you want to hear more about my tales of Grey Wolf, because
Yes, yes.
that's what the Owl Nation gave me that name. The
Very
Owls.
good.
They
I
said I
love it.
was
I love
now
it.
considered elder status, even though I didn't feel that way.
Okay.
If you want to hear more about me, we'll have to do another episode.
Yeah, we definitely we got to do another episode. I thank you, Big Brother Grey Wolf. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and we're gonna end we're gonna end the episode. But to let the listeners know, we will be doing another episode with Big Brother Grey Wolf, my brother. He's and you all have to excuse us. We joke and we laugh a lot, so that's why we're just really having fun with this episode. We love to tease each other. We tease each other like every day. But
Well,
anyway,
an episode of just questions,
yeah. So what I'm gonna do, uh,
something if you can.
yeah, I'm gonna go ahead. We're gonna end this episode. Grey Wolf, I want you to do me a favor, hang up because you know I'm still dealing with the technology. So go ahead, hang up for me, and then I'm gonna make sure I contact you later this evening. Okay.
And if anybody wants to find me, they can find me on Facebook through.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Give them your Facebook and everything. Contact, please.
Yep. All right.
Okay. What can they read so
Later.
they can do for your Facebook? What do you want them to? Where do you want